Well, not exactly. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. And it's the day. It's almost over for me. That's what I labeled it as because it's almost over. Not quite yet because I got to go to an appointment. So I have an appointment to go to around what time? 6:45. So I want to definitely get there on time. Come on. I don't like this road around it because a lot of cars. It's like one of those roads where it's like a blind spot almost. And when you're driving on it, it's like people come by real fast and you can't see anything until you like pull out almost halfway in. And then, so, it's just, that you got to like stop on your brakes. That happened to me a couple of times. So I'm very cautious when I ride around this road because it's like a circle. It's hard to see further down. Today was a very busy Monday. I had a lot of work to do. I was fighting with a lot of insurance companies. We had a lot of issues with patients, cardiac issues, and it was just so much stuff because if they have cardiac issues, they can't go for their procedures if they don't get clear for certain things, and it's just it was just crazy. Oh my gosh, today was just like a roller coaster, up and down, and of course, we're getting back from the holiday weekend, so people are blowing up our phones like crazy. But yeah, weekend was pretty nice. Friday was nice. I went to the Jesus is Lord Revival concert. They have music there, and it was really nice. I was glad. I went with my coworker Jen. Both went there and had our baptism ceremony, because I never had that for God, and I've always said if I ever got the chance to, and I got the opportunity to, and got around the right crowd of people or right situation, I do it. And of course, I don't do it because, I have to do it to be saved. I do it because, my love for God, my good response to my faith and relationship with God. And the idea that it's a righteous work is something you should want to do. You should be excited to proclaim your faith and your relationship with God, amongst others. So we were in the streets of Philadelphia. And you know what time we did all of that? That was around what time? The concert ended until like 10:30. And then after that, we were there overtime till like 11. So we didn't get into the water till about like 11:15, 11:30 at night. That was going on all night, rocking out for the Lord Jesus Christ. And the guy that we saw was Richard Lorenzo Jr. You can look him up online. Really good guy. And young, and he's married and a Christian man. He was actually an ex-warlock at one time of his life, and he's became born-again Christian and changed his life around. Now a child of God. And he was there preaching all night, the music, everything. It was just great. And like almost 12 o'clock midnight, and then as soon as we got down to the street we parked at, because we parked blocks down, me and my coworker, and then we went down, and then we got in the car. It was like 12 o'clock by the time we head on out. And then we went to Crispy Crunchy Chicken. I know I shouldn't have been eating there, but I said let me cheat a little once in a while. Hey, that's fine. I'm sure a little crunchy chicken ain't gonna mess up with my cholesterol levels, but that was the only thing that was really open that was good over the night. Other than that, I don't really eat out as much as I used to. I try not to. And then we went towards the bridge. We were trying to go towards the bridge to park, but we couldn't find anywhere to park. So we just got a picture of the bridge on a good angle where I was sitting at. And then we went home. I didn't get home till like 2 o'clock in the morning. And Saturday night, Let me get around this car. And then the next day, we had a horrible blackout. The blackout started, I think, like 4 or 6 in the morning, I think. And it lasted all the way to evening. It was like, 4:30, 5 o'clock when the lights came back on. And then I was able to get some things done, but not everything done. So now I got to kind of stretch it out throughout the week, some of the things I was supposed to do. And I did a lot of cooking Later that night, because I had to drive through a crazy storm, and cooked with my mom all overnight to like, it was like 2 o'clock, 2:30. We started heading off to bed, and got up again 7 in the morning, like 7:30, and then we started all over with the cooking, and dinner wasn't served till like 4:30, 5 o'clock. So I had a very busy weekend, pretty much. Blackout kind of postponed a lot of things, so I couldn't get much done in the house, and we were like trying to stay cool. So we went to IHOP earlier that morning to meet my husband, and then I think we just went to some shopping centers because I trying to stay cool. It was 104 degrees and 100 on Friday, and then 102 degrees on Saturday. It was just horrible, unbearable heat. And I know down south it was even worse. It was just a horrible heat wave. They even canceled some parades, because of that. But yeah, very good. Other than that, good food. Everything went well. I got to see my family yesterday and the kids and the baby. But I was exhausted. I'm not gonna lie. I woke up feeling like burnt out, because it was just such a busy weekend. I did too much. I did a lot. Yeah, I had a really good experience with that whole baptism thing. It was really nice, and glad I finally got a chance to have that moment with God, to celebrate, especially in the streets of Philadelphia. It was really nice. And there was a lot of people there. I'll tell you that right now. That auditorium, I took a video of the revival, so many people there going up to the balconies. And a lot of people, a lot of young people were there. It wasn't just older people, it was young people, or people who were giving up things that they were addicted to. And I think my coworker said one of them looked like a dildo. Like, he was saying anything that's been holding you back from God or distracting you from God, or just something that you've been sinning with that's been keeping you away from seeking God, give it up right now. Some people gave up witchcraft that night. There were people who gave up the Quran. When the little lady took her Quran book, I think she put it up there. She was like, I'm done with this false religion, and she came to the Lord. There was so many young people. There was people crying there, and finally, felt relief and a burden off their shoulders for so long after coming to God that day. So many souls were saved, Some people were giving up even like regular items, like their phones. I saw people putting their phones, putting it up there and saying, I'm going to get rid of my phone, because although having a phone is not a sin, I've said this before, how like sometimes if you get addicted to something and you start to desire and worship it, and you feel like you can't live without it, and it's taking up so much time in your life and you're addicted to it, it becomes a sin. Same thing with drinking. If you drink a couple of glasses of beer, wine, or something, it's not a sin. It's when you start feeling the addiction and this constant need to have it around you, and you are getting drunk and you're messing up your body, and it's causing you to just lust after it and worship it. That's where it becomes a sin. So there are certain things that maybe it's not a sin for me to have a phone, because I'm not lusting and doing all these crazy things on the phone, or addicted to the phone. Like, I love my phone so much that I can't give it up, and I feel like I can't live without it. There are people who literally go crazy if they don't have a video game phone, or their car. They love their car so much that they start to idol worship it. They will go freaking nuts when you put a little accidental scratch on it. There's people who kill people over a video game. That's how much they love video games. That they will give up their life and time and everything over something stupid like that. But it happened. So there's some people that night that was giving up so much stuff. And of course, there was people who did witchcraft, warlocks. There's 2 people that fell out there. And I believe they must have had some kind of demonic oppression or possession, because there was one woman started screaming. They had to pull her out of the auditorium. Jen, my coworker, told me about it. She says, what happened? You see that lady? I said, which lady? Because I was singing and going along with the band. She says, yeah, she was screaming. They had to pull her out, and she was going crazy. And I says, a lot of people out there that are demonically possessed. They have demons. And my parents were a witness to one last year in the casinos. Now, this is crazy, this story I'm going to say, and I'm sure people will not believe it, and I don't expect people to believe it, but it's true what I'm going to tell you, based on what they told me. So, this is what they told me go. So, I don't, obviously their stories are aligning and adding up, but they said that last year they went to the casinos, and my mom and father went in there. They said they felt something like weird when they walked in, right? Something very strange in that place. And they said the energy, everything fell off. And that's what we call discernment. God gives us a gift of discernment. So, they walk in and say, something don't feel right here, right? Both my parents said the same thing. And they said that they started gambling. They were at the one place where, when they, not the machines, but when they start doing those coins, I don't know, like the tables and all. And they said there was this one woman that came in there, and she looked dressed up dark. She had like weird like symbols on her body. I think she was into like some kind of witch or occult kind of group, because I know people like I know people like that, and I definitely try to keep away. And they have like the symbols. You can see she's dark. She's wearing those dark earrings. She just looks very dark, like somebody who's into gothic, demonic kind of practices. So, they said that something happened there where she started getting crazy. Right? She was acting normal at first, and then she started acting crazy, right? So most people would think, oh, she must have mental illness. She must be, losing her head. Maybe she forgot to take her medicine. Maybe there's something's wrong with her. She started going crazy, right? Flipping around the floor. My mom and them said that as soon as they saw us, she moved from one end to the other side of the floor. Everybody started like freaking out and screaming, because it was like a force like no other like no other has seen. She said the way she moved, it's impossible for a human to move that fast across one end to the floor to the other side of the casino. So that's how fast she moved. And people were freaking out, screaming. The one guy wanted to give up his career after that, being in the casinos. They saw that, and what happened was the Christians that were there, people who are children of God, right? I mean, casinos are not the best place to be at, for us, but, sometimes we get into temptations or be in the wrong place at the wrong time. So my mom, my father, and other fellow Christians that were there started praying over her, right? She fell on the ground. She was like this. And they said when they started praying over her, she started screaming. She was like, ah! Like saying, like going crazy. First, she flipped around the floor at a fast speed. Like they said, it was so fast. And they couldn't even like pay attention. People started freaking the hell out. Even unbelievers there starting to see that, right? And were freaking the hell out. And they were, oh my gosh, what's going on? And she was screaming. It says she was screaming and going, ah! Every time they prayed. When they stopped praying, she stopped screaming. She goes down. They prayed over her again. The other Christians, they started putting their hands out, praying over her. Ah! Ah! She started screaming, going crazy. They stopped praying over her. She falls out, doesn't act crazy. But every time they prayed, it was like she started screaming crazy. So that's when my parents said, this is not her being crazy. This is a demon. And they said we have to pray over her, and they were start praying. So people that were unbelievers like, no, maybe she's crazy or something, or but there were people there that saw that and knew though this is definitely a demon. I've never seen nothing like this in my lifetime. The guy that was dealing out, the dealers at the table, he wanted to give up his career after that. After he saw that these demons are real and there are people out there walking around with spirits attached to them, he wanted to give up his career after that. He says, I don't want to work here anymore. I'm done with all this. Because he realized that, there are demons everywhere. And he started wondering, getting conviction. After he saw that woman screaming like she did when they started praying over her, he knew. So when she woke up from the trance, right, the ambulance and everything came there thinking like maybe she had a panic attack because they didn't see it, everything. But there were people there that day that saw that. And I think that after that, there was people talking. I've never seen nothing like this before. I got people convicted there after seeing that. My parents told me the whole story. I was like, wow. A lady going flying like that, and it has ain't no human flying that fast across the floors like that. Okay, that's crazy. And people witnessed that night. And it's I don't know. That she started when she woke up from that possession, whatever she had. She says, "I want my mom. What happened?" And she's like freaking out, like, "What happened to me?" And cries, "I just want my mom. Where is she?" She was crying. And she was normal again, and she had no idea that there's some demon possessing her and doing these things to her. Making her roll across roads at fast speeds and going crazy every time people praying over her. And that, my parents were like, oh, I'm out of here. I'm not going back to this casino. You know, not to that one at least. But, you know, in general, like, you know, you just got to be careful. Like, you know, just what you get yourself involved in out there. These things are real. You know, that my father said it made people think twice again after that day. When you see something like that, and you, especially if you're an unbeliever and you don't believe, and you see something like that, you see people flying across rooms that fast with no technology or nothing, okay, and you're sitting there and you see them shaking and screaming every time they pray to the Lord Jesus Christ in his name, okay, you're gonna know, like, okay, this is not a game. Pick her up and she's like, all of a sudden when the ambulance comes, she's normal, and she's like, oh, my mother, oh, my mom. You know, now I bet you 10 to 1, if somebody recorded that and put it on the internet, they'll say, oh, this was a prank or some kind of skit, because it's always like that. There are, don't get me wrong, there are people out there that do skits of demonic attacks, and they be sitting there doing stupid things on the floor. But for the most part, there are situations, and a lot of times, unfortunately, we don't ever catch it on camera. We see it for ourselves, and it's like, okay, there are people who are possessed and oppressed by demons out there. And see, that night on Friday, when I was sitting there, there's 2 people that fell out. One came, they were pulling her out because she was screaming when they were mentioning Jesus and about him, Lord, and everything. And they said right after that, she was screaming. They had to pull her out of the auditorium. And 2 of them fell out. Only 2 people I saw fell out of the crowds of people. And they fell out, and people were praying. I noticed people were praying over them. And I told my coworker, I said, I think those 2 people that might have been maybe demonically possessed, and they're trying to be delivered, because these things take over your life. I've seen somebody had a demon take over them, like actually in real time, and my father was a witness to it, her Buddhist boyfriend and her daughter, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I said, oh my gosh, not that I don't know they exist. I do know, because for one, the Bible talks about them, and I've had my own personal experiences with them too many times in the past, but I've never been possessed, never had something take my body and do something like that to me. No, because first of all, if you're a child of God who's saved, I don't believe they can take your body. I've never seen anywhere in the Bible that they can take over a child of God's body. They can, or try to oppress you and play games, but they can't take your body. They can't take over you. An unbeliever, yes, they can, and, especially if they open doors to them. Like that girl that my parents visited, they have 2 symptoms. The witchcraft is a time when I was 16. I used to wear not the satanic Wicca. No, the Wicca one is the one that's just a straight star. It's 5 stars, and he used to wear that on. And he told me that this is the witchcraft symbol, and he says these are good witchcraft. And I said, there's no such thing as that. And he was like, I said, there's no such thing as no good witchcraft. And he says, there's good witchcraft. There's some good witches out there, and I'm sitting there like, no, they're not. Nothing that is of dark magic or anything. There's no such thing. Anything aside from faith in the Lord Jesus Christ is considered evil. That's it. So he was having spirits, and that's when I started getting attacked by actual spirits, like real-time attacked by them, okay, and being pushed down and everything. That was my first encounter, I think, of being attacked, not just attacked by them. With that guy. And I was 16, 17 years old. And my parents did not like him because of that. And I'm glad that nothing worked out between me and him, because I can only imagine the hell I would have in my life with that person. There's another one where the star is up, kind of sideways, angled. It's not straight star, and the circle is sideways. That's the satanic symbol. So they'll try to say, well, my symbol is not like that, so I'm not into Satanism. It's the same thing. It's just, all it is a trick to get you into worshiping Satan in a different way. And they'll tell you, oh, it's Wicca, it's dark, it's black, it's white magic, it's not black magic. Black magic is Satan. No, it is a part of Satan's sect. It opens doors to demons. I know too many people that have spirits and demons in life, okay, that have actually attacked them or told them to hurt people. I'm gonna tell you, the guy I dated when I was 16, that one with the Wicca sign, he told me back in the past they threw him in a mental home. I said, why? I didn't know this till like 6 months of dating him. His mother hid this stuff from me. And I said, why is that, right? And he said, because there was something telling him to hurt people, to kill people and hurt people. And I said, what? So most people say you have schizophrenia, right? Oh, you have some mental illness, schizophrenia, you need to put on medication and all. They put you on that medicine and messes you up. And that's what happened to him. They labeled him schizophrenia and manic depressive, but the problem wasn't that he was a manic depressive. The problem was he was schizophrenic. No, the problem is he had a demon. He had demons talking to him, and he told them that there was ghosts talking to him. And he said, they told him to kill him, like to hurt people. He says, they kept telling me to hurt people. That's demons. And you see that symbol on him, you're like, oh, no wonder. What have you been messing with? Like, what are you opening your doors to? So I'm glad I never ended up with that guy, because he was crazy. He was really crazy, that guy. There's something wrong with him. And this is why I don't believe in mental illness, just so people know. I'm not saying there aren't real conditions out there. Don't listen to say cancer. There's no such thing as mental illnesses. There can be people with a brain disorder, maybe something off. You have different kinds of disorders out there. Social anxiety. I have a little social anxiety myself, believe it or not, but it's nowhere near how it used to be. And I know because of how I am and the traits that I have. And I was really bad at one time. And I remember I used to talk to a guidance counselor and different people. They knew there's, they used to say I was very shy, but really I had a lot of social anxiety. And I remember just feeling sick around certain situations. But my parents would, hell no, you ain't taking my daughter to no psychiatrist and believe in that. You ain't putting my kids on no medicine. They told me, put kids on Ritalin, told me there's something wrong with your kid, they got ADHD and all this other stuff. Oh, they got schizophrenia, blah, blah. A lot of that stuff, I'm telling you right now, is demonic possession. They need to be delivered by the Spirit, from the Spirit, whatever they operate from. Why do you think people with schizophrenia, the Spirit's always evil? It tells them different things to do to hurt people, and have full-blown conversations with them. And so a lot of them have spirits. I know another person, that was messing around with the Ouija board, and they walked into the house and the light crashed when they opened the Ouija board app on their phone. And this thing was able to tell her everything. And it was in my good friend's house, and she said, please get that out of my house. And she wouldn't listen, and she was an unbeliever. She was playing with it. The thing crashed in the hall. It was angry. And they all were getting the attacks, everybody in that house. They all kept telling me the same thing about these experiences with the spirits. And this same person that was messing with the Ouija board, she started going crazy. She said that stuff was talking to her. She started seeing things. And they tried to label schizophrenia. They put her on medicine, and that didn't help her. She still was seeing worse, because the medicine, what they don't understand is it makes them crazier. The medicine started making them to a zombie, and they started getting hallucinations, and the demons can even just take advantage of it. That's what it does. So that's why I don't believe in mental illness in general. Like a lot of the mental illness they be talking about, I believe majority of the times you're being possessed by demons, especially when they say schizophrenia or certain kinds of things. Like I said, I believe there are people out there that have true disorders of the brain. There's things that are off that can make them feel off mentally, or their moods are off sometimes. But, I feel like for the most part, it can be helped and controlled, and everything doesn't have to be medicine, Heck, I'll tell you one thing, in my family, ain't nobody getting no medicine for mental illnesses here. So you know what they would say back in the day, especially my grandparents, they say, you know what that medicine is? That good belt in the closet. They go pull it out. Ain't no damn medicines going into our bodies. I didn't take no belief in none of that stuff. Parents, you tell my parents something like that, you going on medication, they're like, get the hell out of here. And that's my kind of thinking. I'm like, no, I don't believe in that stuff. Like just running to take medicines for, and psych meds. No. Mm-mm. No. Couldn't ask me for 1 minute to take any of those things, on top of other medications. No. Mm-mm. Nope. Yeah, I just know seen too many situations with people in my life that, started having problems with spirits, and they've been told they were crazy, and then they took medications, and then their life is messed up. or they got something wrong with them. They get messed up from the medicine and stuff. Like, no. Witness to too many things. But yeah, that was one case. My friend, when she was younger, she didn't have a good understanding of things. Her relationship with God wasn't strong then. She didn't know God really like that. She was 15 years old. She was playing with the Ouija board. And she's a believer now too. But at the time, she didn't take these things as serious because she was young. And she was playing. Her father says, don't put that stuff in my house. Right? She said that this thing was able to tell her the name of the guy that was sitting next to her. And it got angry at her. Said it didn't like her boyfriend. And it started throwing hangers around her room. She says whatever the entity was, it took hangers that was around her room, started throwing it at her and the guy and everybody else involved. It got angry. And that's what she knew, like, this is not a joke. And I'm not going to play with this Ouija board no more. Because, the things were flipping out, hangers on her. There was only one time she tried it again, and I was there, and I told her no. Because what happened was, it was me, her, and it was two guys there. I think one of the guys was Randy, and there was another guy. I forgot his name, Brett. I think it's there because we went camping with them in 2008. So what happened was her and this another girl named Brittany. I remember now. And I now start to remember. It was her boyfriend Randy, Brett, my other friend Crystal, and me. And I think there was one more person. I think it was Joe. But we were all there in the house. And I remember when I walked in the guy's house, one of the first things I saw on there was the band Kiss, which I saw there was a satanic symbol in it. And that's why I didn't like that symbol there. And I was like, I was already feeling some kind of way about that symbol on his wall with the band and everything. And, people listen to Kiss, he's cool. Why'd you have a problem with Kiss for it? The problem I have with the band is they got a satanic symbol on it. So I wouldn't, want to ever really listen to their music like that, even then. And they were like, let's do the Ouija board and stuff, right? I heard that. As passive as I am, I said no. Hell no. I walked out of that house. They were like, let's go play the Ouija board. I sat right away from them. And I said, I'm going to go outside. When I went outside, they were like, hey, Candace, you might just want to play the Ouija board with us. Like, I said, nope, not me. I will never touch that. I said, God first, right? Something along those lines. Like, yeah, God, even as passive as I was, right? You can peer pressure me into kissing a gay man, because that's what happened to me on 17. What happened was they got me to peer pressure me to drink. I did that, okay? And, they were like, come on, kids, chug along. And they were trying to get me to drink when I was 17. I started drinking the shots, right? And they got me to French kiss a gay guy and everything, right? And the guy actually turned around that night. I don't know what happened. He was, for the first time, he was running after women that night. I don't know what happened to him. But, maybe it's a good thing, but I don't know. He just all of a sudden wanted to be with a girl that night, but I didn't want to do anything because I'm not like the type of person that just wants to have sex with random people. Like, I want to be married and stuff, So, I've had that kind of mindset where my goal is to be married and then sleep with them, and he was gay. So that ain't somebody I'm going to marry or ever have a relationship with. But I did it because they peer pressured me. They were like, yeah, go French kiss him. I dare you to. And he was drinking and I was drinking. Next thing you know, I was doing that. And you could peer pressure me into that. Start telling me go mess with the Ouija board and the cult and let's try this. Hell no. That was something you would not get me to do. I don't care if you would stop being my friend. Let's play with the tarot cards. Hell no. Not doing that. At that age, I was like, oh, no. God first. And I don't care who walks out at that point. When it came down to that. There was many things I would be passive about, but one of those was that I was not doing that. You couldn't get me to do it. It's just something came across my heart where I just wasn't passive nowhere. All of a sudden, I had the strength to be assertive out of nowhere. No, I'm not doing that. God first. I don't care. I was like, I'll walk home if you don't like me. Oh, well. It's like, I'm not doing that. And that was one of them. I wish I was like that with a lot of things, in my past. But one of them, I'm glad that I was very assertive with that one. And another thing you wouldn't get me to do was a drug. That was it. You wasn't gonna get me to do some E and all this stuff. One time they came over, they were like, "Hey, Candace, you want to do some E, some ecstasy, whatever?" I said no. Now's the time I got engaged to my husband. I remembered. And they was like, "Come on, Candace, here, you can take some E. It's a little fun. It's not gonna do that to you." I said nope. And I could see they were getting annoyed. I said nope. I said I'll have a beer. And that's exactly what I said. I'll have a beer. And I went and grabbed the beer. It's like, no, I'm not doing no E. So that night, I don't even remember if they even took it after that. After I sat back and said no, and I just took the beer. I said, I'll have a beer. And I looked at them. I don't even think they took it after that. I don't know why. They felt like some kind of way, or they felt conviction. I don't know what it was, but I was like, no, we're not doing that. You know, not that I didn't misbehave or do things, but that I'm just stating some things. I don't know what it was, but there was always some things in my life that you couldn't get me to do. And that, like I said, number one was dealing with the occult. You know, when I started growing my relationship with God, you know, well, at least started to know him. That's when I was a baby Christian. And I was still very worldly, as you could see. I was out there still drinking and doing things, but there was, even then, there's some things you couldn't get me to do, and that was one of them. I said, you ain't making me go and play with no cult stuff. You're not making me play with no Ouija boards or none of that. I'm not opening no doors to any of that. And those same people to this day, they have spirits, or they had someone attacking them, or it was just bad. That was sitting there messing with those kinds of things. I do want to. Oh, there it says Jesus loves you. I like that. I do want to do a stream of all the things out there that's of occult and demonic practices. I got to find a day to do it because I've been very busy. It's busy this week too because I have to stretch things over and take care of things I couldn't get around to this week. And I do want to do something with EQ one of these days of the week as well. I want to do a series on the AI stuff that we wanted to talk about. Definitely got to find a day, maybe sometime next week, or if I get home on time on the weekend, maybe. I have to see, because I want to do a whole stream of all the occult practices out there, all the demonic stuff that's out there, things that people labeled good is really not good. It opens doors to spirits. I know another person in my life that where they had a spirit come and approach them, a family member, and they said that when they saw the spirit, they rebuked it, right? And they're a believer too. And guess what? The very next day when they opened their door, they looked down, there was a tarot card right in front of their door. And they said, now I know why I saw that spirit. So you got to be careful what you open yourself up to. People try to say, oh, it's just a card. It's just cards. You know, there's nothing in there. You know, like you like a deck of cards. It's that. Ain't no deck of cards. You understand these people do curses. They do seances. And if they don't like your ass, they could vex you. They could try to vex you. The only difference is when you have Jesus in your life, you don't have to worry about those things because you have his protection, his Holy Spirit. So people can try to vex you all they want. They can say they're trying to put curses on you because I know down south they do a lot of that voodoo, curses, witchcraft. You know, I have people in my family down there that when I used to go visit them as a child, we used to keep our hair up, and that was for a reason. So they can't pull our hair out, and you know, people could just grab your hair real quick, you know, a piece of your hair out of your brush, whatever. My parents was my mom kept my hair up real tight. My hair used to be so pushed back, it was ridiculous. You know, they used to always act weird of us going down there. Now I know why, you know, as I got older. And they do a lot of witchcraft down there. Yep. There's people in my family that did witchcraft. And there were people I know, well, my parents, where there was this girl that didn't like somebody that's in our family, I think it was our family, said that she didn't like her. She came to her house and said, I'm going to put something on you that you can't take off. And the girl the next day died. They can't even figure out what she died from. She just died. This is in South Carolina. She came to her door and said, I'm going to put something on you can't take off. And the very next day, done. And then they can't find the cause of death. She was young. So, you know, this is what I'm talking about. Like, you know, be careful who you affiliate yourself with, who who you get personal with. My friend I've mentioned this many times before about this friend that I cut off of 13 years. And, I cared about her. I was there when she was in her mental illness state. Like I said, that mental illness, it was more of spiritual attack because I remember praying for her and that's laughing at me when I prayed for her. And she was having the same experience as I was having with the spirits. But she refused to rebuke it because she was obsessed with the occult. And her aunt was a witch, and I had to delete her off my channel, my Facebook page eventually. I remember that aunt came in, she got a little bothered about my video about Billy Graham, the priest, the evangelist. And she was like, take that down. And I think that's the one I was doing the witchcraft. And I said, no, I will never, ever do that. I said something right back to her. I will not take down the Lord's, his word, the child of God, and take down his word and everything for you. Hell no. If you don't like it, too bad. You need God. So when I started realizing she's into all that stuff and that she's probably telling my former friend things that I don't want her to know about my personal life, like me going out, see my family. Because what freaked me out is that she texted me and said, hey, have you had a baby yet and stuff? And that's like 2 years after I didn't talk to her. I said, oh, hell no. So her aunt must have thought I was pregnant because one of my pictures, I was bloated. And that's when she asked me that question. I remembered. So I said, oh, yeah, I think I know what she's trying to do. And my coworker caught her doing mantra in the backyard. And people will try to say, oh, that's nothing bad. It is. It's demonic. So I don't want any kind of interference with the spiritual. Now, again, they can't come at me and attack me. I have the Lord's Spirit upon me. But at the same time, why open up doors to that kind of drama in my life? You know what I mean? I don't want that negative energy around me, So I took her on off after that. You know what I mean? And I was like, no, we're done. Mm-mm. I mean, she always said, oh, I don't do the cult anymore because I know she told me a story. And this is before I ended my friendship with her. What time is it? 5:51. Wow, I'm here early. I got time. She told me that, that she used to have a friend back in the days, well before she met me. That was her friend, and they both used to do witchcraft together. And I believe it because when I went to her house one time, she showed me her tarot cards. She says, yeah, I used to do all this with my ex-friend, right? I was like, oh, ex-friend. And her ex-friend was a witch with her. And they had cult things. She had voodoo dolls in her room. She says, I don't deal with them no more. I just keep them there, I just keep them there. And I'm just sitting there like, And already I didn't like that feeling. And she kept telling me about certain spirits coming into the room. Her father died. It was a dark entity that kept coming in, taking on a form of a cat or coming up towards her a lot. And she told me at times it used to paralyze her body, the spirits. And that reminds me of what used to happen to me when I was oppressed by demons. I said, that's the same thing that happened to me. The only difference was I called on the name of Jesus and they would leave. They would get scared and scream, run away. She didn't want to use Jesus' name. And I'm like, maybe she likes these kind of practices because she always talks about the idea of going into haunted houses. She loves the occult, like looking into the occult. She had a book on shamanism. She was just open to too many spirits. So that made me feel already like, this is not good. We're not aligning. So I wanted to find out what happened to that ex-friend, right? So what happened to her, right? I said, what happened to that friend of yours? She said she became a Christian. And then that's when I was like, oh, bingo. She says, yeah, she was a witch with me and she became a Christian. She got married and she couldn't talk to me no more. We don't. She moved away, eventually did her own thing. And then I understood why. I said, that's why. You lost your friend because she became a child of God. And she probably saw the energy you were around, the demons and evil, and she probably couldn't handle her change. So same thing here. I'm like, well, I've always been a Christian since I've met you, but I just have not been as strong as I am with my relationship with God now, when I started talking to her more about the Lord. And every time I just started feeling an anger behind her, and I remember telling her about all sorts of demons, and it's like she seemed excited about it. It's like, don't you want to be with God? Why would you want to keep opening the doors to these spirits that are attacking you and frightening you at night? Because you have this thrill to be around, want to be around. Like they don't like you. I told her after 4 years, I decided to tell her about when I prayed for her. And that spirit was laughing and mocking my prayer for her. And she was like, she seemed so like, you know, like smile. I said, yeah, I didn't want to tell you, but they don't, they're out for you. And it's like she just had a hard time accepting that these are just wicked spirits. They don't like you. You may be fascinated with them because it seems cool, to see the spirits and all this stuff around you. But guess what? These same spirits are looking to devour your soul. And I told her, and I stretched over and over how much they hate us human beings. And like, why do you keep don't entertain them, rebuke them? I kept telling them all the time, and it just seems like she didn't want to hear that. And then she wants to believe there are good spirits out there. No, let me say, they are good spirits. They're called God and angels, okay? And anybody who's with the angels. But I could promise you, anybody sitting there talking to you right now, actively in the spirit, a majority of times is a demon. It's a spirit that's pretending to be your family member. You got to rebuke them in the name of Jesus. Okay, like you can't talk to these spirits. They can take on a form of your family members or different people and try to say, hey, it's your aunt that died. I came back for you. It's really a demon taking on the form of them to deceive you. A lot of times the thing is that you don't realize they're watching you all day long. They got too much time in their hands. They ain't got nothing else to do with their life. They're like jailbirds. They got nothing else to do. So all they do is sit there and watch us and observe everything that goes on in our life, our accent, the way we talk, everything. And they mimic it. And what they'll do is when someone passes or whatever, and they're like, well, let me, try to use this against them now. I'm going to try to pretend to be her aunt that passed away. I know she loved her aunt so much. Hi, Aunt, I'm Aunt Betty. It's me, honey. And they're coming up to you and trying to act like they know you. And next thing you know, they start doing evil. Like there's been situations where there are people on documentaries where they actually start talking to these spirits because they thought that they were a loved one of theirs, and their loved one come into bed and they said, although that was my aunt, I thought that was her, I felt something off. See, that's your discernment. And then she's like, I don't know. And then after a while, this same spirit that was like my aunt started becoming evil, started getting attached, becoming evil, and just not being as nice. And that's how they are. They're very good actors, so don't get deceived. If you got ghost boxes and you out there talking to spirits and you think they're your family members, they're not your family members. I promise you that. They're demons. They're called familiar spirits. And people are out there talking to them. I know, I've heard of this ghost box stuff, and people out there, it's mediums and all these things out there. It's all spirits. Don't talk to these things. These things are evil. They will sit here and ruin your life. They will definitely ruin your life. They'll turn you away from God, and they will distract you, and they'll bring all sorts of issues and illnesses to your life. I promise. I'm telling you, you don't want that in your life. Heck, in the Bible, when I read it, there were certain people that had Now, this is the thing. This is biblical. Look it up. Where there were people with certain illnesses. I think one of them, the guy, he had some kind of illness or sickness. I think he was either mute. What was wrong with him? I have to look it up. He was either mute, like he couldn't talk or something like that. And there was another one, and he said that he cast out demons, and then they were better again, right? So that's how you know that certain illnesses that people have is demonic. And that's why I say I don't believe in the mental illness like that, because when I read the Bible and I see all these people with different kinds of physical illnesses and things, and Jesus rebukes the spirits out of them, and then all of a sudden they're healed, that's how I know that a lot of illnesses that people have are demonic. Not all of them, but some. Some of them is brought on because they have a demon that cursed them with something, because I don't know. I mean, maybe they opened up doors to something. I'm not really sure, but every time you have something, you just got to pray on it. This gets me back to thinking about something else here now. My mother told me this one, this is going back years ago, about a story about a woman. And this woman's husband was sick. I don't know what he had, but he was sick. He was, like sick as a dog, really sick, in the hospital and everything. And the woman started praying over her husband. When she started praying over her husband, a black spirit came out of her husband and ran out of the room so fast, like flew out of the room as quick as possible. She said she started praying, this thing was, and she said, saw a glimpse of a black spirit just flying real fast. And her husband felt better. His illness went away. So a lot of things out there, not everything, but there are a lot of things out there that's demonic, is what I'm trying to say. Not every illness, not every problem you got mentally is demonic, but a lot of them are. And you got to really pray on it. Like when you have something happen to you, just pray to God. Say, please help me. If it's something demonic, God can deliver you from that. And if it's not demonic, it's just a health issue because, we live in a body of sin. God can deliver you that too if it's in his will. Because God is not going to take every problem away from us. You know what I mean? Because we live in a sinful world. If he took every problem away, we'd be in heaven. You know what I mean? So, if it's in his will, he'll get rid of it because he could do anything. He's God. I see for myself, that he could do anything. But yeah, this stuff, it's mind blowing. It really is. It's very mind blowing. Just all these different people that have had experiences with the spiritual realm, demons, believers and unbelievers. The only difference is unbelievers, some of them want to make excuses for what they've been communicating with, and it's like, okay, this thing has been attacking you, it's mean, why you want to still talk to it? I mean, like, I don't understand that. Why you want to keep talking to something that's abusing you and it's scaring you and frightening you and you don't rebuke it? Or you try to say, oh, maybe it's, it's coming in this form, or, I just want to understand it. No, stop trying to understand it and pray to the Lord Jesus Christ and rebuke that thing, don't answer to them, I'm telling you. No. Mm-mm. It's just, it's mind-blowing. I've lost count of how many people I've came across in this world that deal with demons and spirits. It's too many to count now. Like, it's too many people. It's not like something I see on TV. No, we're talking about real, actual people, friends, family members, people I've came across, even unbelievers who just didn't believe in certain things at one time until they got attacked by a demon. It's mind-blowing. It really is. They don't realize what they're opening themselves up to, some people. So I'm like, I'm going to do that stream about that, about like different things that people open themselves up to that is demonic. And let me just say this, even if you're not dealing with the occult or anything associated with it, or what I mean, sin itself opens doors to spirits. If you sit here and you have a heart for something and it takes over your life, the demons, although they're not attacking you physically, they're attacking you spiritually. They're coming at you in other ways. Like, I don't have to do much. They're distracted. They're not focusing on God. And they're attacking you and they're and other ways, mentally, physically. Because let's say you have a sex addiction. They'll sit here and put you in situations where you get addicted to something so bad that you don't care what risk you take. There are people out there that don't even care if you got a disease and will sleep with you. Yeah, and there was some name to it. I'm trying to remember what it's called. Oh, man. I'm trying to remember what it was called. Oh, my gosh, the name for it. Oh, man. I remember a woman made a video about it. Her father was into this, where he would sleep with as many people with diseases as possible, and he became addicted. He felt in his head that he was cleansing the world by sleeping with people with diseases. I know this sounds crazy, but there are people out there that have this kind of mindset. See, that's a demon messing with you and just making you crazy. And her father, it was like this. She did a video on it, and I didn't even know there was a name for it. But there's a name for it. I thought it was called bug keepers, or not bug biters. I think it was called bug keepers or something like that. I gotta look it up because there's a name for it. I'm gonna look it up and I'm gonna post it at the end of this video. Like when I find it and post it in the comment section, it's a name for it. I know it's something about bug something. It has a bug. The name bug is in the word. But it's mind blowing how they can just sit here and manipulate you like that into going crazy like that. Or people get so addicted to sex they don't even think anymore. They're just like, I just want to have sex. They start loving the smell of people's genitals, and they just start sniffing around for anything they can just sleep around with. And this is, I'm serious. This is like real people like this, where they just go sex addict, and they got a sex demon or whatever is behind them, making them do all these things. And I mean, it just gets very crazy. And they'll make you move far and far from God, and just make you into a whole hot mess. You know, it'll make you a whole hot mess up your whole brain and mindset, everything. Because they know, like, oh, I don't have to do much with this person. Let me just keep them away from God. You're suicidal. There's a spirit, which I got to talk about this too. There's different kinds of evil spirits out there. Spirit of deception, the spirit of lies. The Bible talks about this in 2 Kings. I think it's 2 Kings 22. It's Kings 22, but I don't know if it's first or second. I thought it was 2 Kings 22, where it talks about the lion spirit. Look it up. Old Testament, the lion spirit in the book of Kings. And it'll tell you, it'll pull it up. And this thing came through all the mouths of the prophets, the false prophets, people who didn't know God, and they came and he was telling them lies. There's the lion spirit, there's spirits of deception, spirit of depression, spirit of murder and anger. And this is what they do to you. Their whole goal is to F up your life and turn you away from God. That's it. That's all they're here for. Because they ain't got nothing to do. They're not going into heaven. So you think they care about you? They don't. They're looking to ruin your life. And if you're an unbeliever and you don't know Jesus, of course you're going to put in your head and listen to his video and laugh and be like, this woman's crazy. But it's not crazy. It's the truth. And all they're doing is stirring you more and more and pulling you away from God. And trying to find other reasons and excuses for you so they can keep pulling you away until your deathbed. That's their whole thing. The deadline is your deathbed. Once you're dead, they met their goal. They did their job they created. Like, oh, got him where I need him to. Boop, out of heaven. He ain't going to God. It's another soul I took away. And that's all they do. That's all they do all day. If you were able, and this is truth, if you were able to take off the lens, this physical lens of our eyes, and have a spiritual set of eyes put in, like technology, right, that can be able to see demons, and they made one where you can see the spirits, you will have a heart attack. You will fall to this ground and have a heart attack. Because it would frighten you so bad how many demons are around you. So much they can cover up the sky. They're evil and they're dark and they're all around. And people are being influenced by them 24/7. Anything that you open the doors to, they will take advantage of it. They really will. But I was glad to see that revival on Friday. What time is 6:07? Still got time. I got a whole, it's 6:45. I got to check in at maybe 6:30 or something, because I know it's going to take some time. So probably 6:30, 7:27. That would be 17 and 27. That's 23 minutes. Okay, I got 23 minutes. Drink some water here. So yeah, 2 people fell out. They were praying over them, and just that one lady they carried out, that crazy woman they carried out on Friday. That was the only thing that happened there. But other than that, everyone else seemed to be okay, and people were praising the Lord. People were being delivered. People giving up things that was addictive to their life or a certain lifestyle. And my coworker said it looked like they put a dildo up there. Whatever was holding them back that the devil was using, they got rid of it, and they rebuked it. And there was a lot of young people, and I'm so happy to see not just older people there, but young people all over, different ages, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and up, all sorts. They have another thing coming up. They think they gave me where is it at? Did I put it in here? I did. I put it in here. It was like a Christian revival thing. What happened to it? maybe it's in my black bag here. Let me see something here. So I took 2 bags. Let me see if it's in here. It's in here. There's something for like a revival. And it was like a Christian revival thing. And they mentioned about it. Maybe it's my wallet or something. Is it here or what? No. It was like something for the youth. Christian youth thing. Maybe it's in this bag. Maybe. That's not it. Oh man, they gave it to me. What happened to it? Maybe I put it up in the house somewhere. But man, what happened to it? Yeah, but I had it, and it was a Christian revival thing, and it's going to be happening sometime in August. I think it was August 15th or 16th. And I think it's in Philly again. It's a Christian youth thing where they come together to do get-togethers. I don't know what's involved or what it entails, but like I said, I mean, I would like to start doing more like gatherings with other fellow Christians. And this is something I prayed to God about. I said I want to be able to meet other people, fellowship, worship. It don't have to be in a church building. It could be anywhere. Like where we were on Friday, the revival, we were in the Mets theater. It's right there. It's called MET. It was in Philadelphia. We went inside there and had a whole bunch of people gathered together. And that's the same place I went to go see Steely Dan concert. I think it was 2018 too. So that's my second time actually being in the Mets. But I would like to do more of that. Like gathering with different Christians and having different fellowship. I like that. That's what we need as children of God, to be associated around people who are like-minded, walking the same path as us, being together, being around good company, because the Bible says that bad company corrupts good character. And it's true. It's very true. I mean, good example. Like, look at all of us. I could testify on that one. Look, I hanged with certain people throughout my years. I got influenced to doing a lot of things I wasn't supposed to be doing, and giving into things because I'm young and I want to have fun. And you get a certain age, you're like, what? Like, what happened to me? Like, I'm like, my relationship with God is not growing, staying stagnant. I've been neglecting God. You know what I mean? Because my focus is on these worldly things, and it's just, all it takes is to give in to one thing in this world and your flesh or any desire in this world. And that's all it takes to get distracted. I say here, start watching TV too much and watching a lot of these shows they got out there. Like, a good example, you got the Baddies that show. And I know about that because my sister told me about it. And I've seen some clips and stuff from it because they'll be sitting there and said, look, this girl's crazy on here, blah, blah. And, you see it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. It's called Baddies. And there's these girls on there and they got like colored wigs on it. And they be fighting and arguing. And when you really look at that show, I mean, people laugh and joke, we can laugh at it, make a joke out of it, but at the end of the day, that's a lot of hatred, drama in that show. And all you see is women putting other women down, beating up women, snatch off a wig, and snatching off each other's wigs and beating each other up. And it's like, what is so good about this? Really, it's all satanic planned. It's all evil in it. And what happens if I start watching that show, and this is the truth, I start watching that show, I'm going to start entertaining that. I'm going to start getting into the women and their feelings on there. Like, yeah, just such and such. Yeah, I don't really care about the fighting scenes, but I just want to see, like, why she's fighting, Like, I'm just curious. Guess what? Curiosity kills. You get curious, and then all of a sudden you start getting into it. And you like one girl on there. You're like, I don't like her. She's mean on there. Da, da, da. And you start forgetting things. You start forgetting what God really wants from you and what he wants you to be doing. And he doesn't want me affiliating and associating with that, but it's human nature. We open doors to things. We start looking at stuff, and that's what happens. So I'm kind of glad that I'm not a TV person, and just with all the things that's out there nowadays, I try to pull back from it even a lot more over the years. And it didn't start this year. It's even before I started growing in my relationship with God, I wasn't watching TV really. But because I really just, nothing was really on. But now, as I'm getting older, I'm pulling back more, and I'm actually happy that I didn't have a TV problem from the start, because everything that's on is just drama, lies, gossip, slander, people talking about this person's life, you know, people living a lifestyle that everybody looks up to. You know, you have influencers out there. You got people that like, oh, I want to be like such and such on TV. Oh, yeah, I want to dress like that. Oh, yeah, I want to be like that. Next thing you know, you got people watching Baddies Girls Club. Then they start acting like them. They got a purple wig on, and they out there with the outfits, and they ready to fight now. And because everybody gets on their nerves. I'm about to beat that bitch up. Da, da, da. I'm about to snatch her hair because she getting on my nerves, because now they're being influenced by what they're seeing on TV, and like what is cool, what is in, and what is not in. You know, it's just human nature. That's the way we are. People can sit there and say, oh, no, that's not true. That is true. Even as adults, we do get influenced by people. That's part of the reason why I tried my best to keep out of certain situations, because I know that I'm only human. I understand that I can forget things, and I can get into the flesh, and I can end up giving back into sins, or certain sins, and things that's keeping me back or keeping me from growing in my relationship with God. So, like, I know that, okay, what's a good example? If I start watching certain films, right? I start watching, like, I've mentioned this before, like women, right? Doing lesbian acts. And, although I don't want to sleep with a woman, I desire thinking about it. You know what I mean? It's weird. Like, especially when they're big women. Every once in a while, I would just be like, there'll be a woman on there, and let's say they're doing lesbian things on there, and weird stuff on there. If I'm sitting there watching it, I'm going to start getting excited, and I'm going to start fantasizing in my mind and desiring this in my mind, and getting turned on. And I don't want that. Right now I'm doing pretty good. And it's been a long time since I've given into these lustful desires and fantasizing it about in my head, but I don't want to think about it. You know what I mean? So, if I start opening doors to that, it's going to come back again. And so I don't want that. So that's why I stay away from those kind of shows. You know what I mean? Like, I don't watch that, and same, like some people, their problem is alcohol. So, alcohol is not a sin, but abusing your body with alcohol is. Becoming addicted to it is. Feeling this need to have it all the time, or you get crazy, is a drug. It is a sin. So that, okay, if I open the door to drinking, I got to stay away from bars, clubs, people who are drinking beer all the time around me. I got to stay away from those things. Because those things are going to open me up to a sin. Maybe one person is not a sin. I can go near an alcoholic drink, and I'll be fine to just have one or two drinks and be in self-control. I don't need it like that. But a person that is alcoholic or feel this need to have it all the time, they need to stay away from that. People in AAA, let me see what time, 6:18. Okay, still got time. People that are in AAA, like trying to recover from, like, alcohol addiction and everything, they tell you certain things to stay away from this stuff. They're like, let me pull back. Let me pull back from a lot of these things. Don't be around these kind of company people. They try to suggest things to keep your mind focused and away from certain things, because you already know you're going to end up giving back into it. So same thing with any other sin. There's some people that have gluttony issues. That's their sin. Their sin is food. While food is not a sin, the act of overeating and messing up your body and being addicted to food is your drug, like alcohol. So now you're eating and you're lusting after it, and you're taking it to the point where you become so selfish. You don't even want to share your food. And you don't care about anyone around you, how your health is affecting everyone around you. And it's a sin. So people start telling you different things, like what to do to kind of help you with your addiction and your problem. Some people eat because it's called binge eating, where this is all they do this for comfort, and it's not because they're hungry. They just binge eat because they're stressed, and that's their way of relieving themselves. So sometimes people will tell them something like, well, how about go to the gym? How about try boxing and just put a thing there? Just think of this problem in your life, this big thing that you just want to knock the hell out and just beat up and whatever. Do other things that's healthy versus sitting there eating a bunch of food and binge eating, because all you're doing is messing up your life and your heart and everything around you. So everybody has an issue and a weakness. Just because I don't have a sin of sexual immorality don't mean I don't have a lusting issue. Or just because one person, has a problem with alcohol, you know what I mean? One could have a problem with alcohol. The other one around him may not be an alcohol problem. Maybe his problem is pride. Because pride can make you feel so exalted that you think you're better than others. You start treating people lower. Heck, pride has caused people to make people feel like they're more deserving of something in life. And then when they see people getting achievements over them, they get jealous and angry. And they want to do evil to that person. And that's what pride does to people. So it's different things. That's why all the sins the Bible says you broke one, you broke all. That's in the book of, book of James. You broke one part of the law, you broke the whole law in the eyes of God. Because see, they all connect. They're all wicked and deserving of hell. They all link. Anger leads to murder. Jealousy leads to anger, then murder. Envy leads to anger, then murder. Lust leads to jealousy, anger, and then murder. Look, think about it. You lust after something you wanted, guess what? And lust don't even just mean sexual. It could be other things. You want something so bad, you start envying somebody else, what they have. Coveting, that's what the Bible calls it. She thinks she's too good for everybody. Then it gets them angry, then they want to kill you. If it ain't physically, it's spiritually, emotionally, mentally, maybe want to kill your career, do whatever they want to do to you. And if there was a law that they can get away with to kill you, they will. Don't think they won't. And a good example of that is look at Shanquella Robinson. Shanquella Robinson is SHANQUILLA Robinson. I've mentioned about this girl several times. What happened to her? She hanged with people that were snakes, fake ass friends. She goes to Mexico with the Cabo Six. Young, beautiful, had her whole life ahead of her. She was young, had her own business going, and she was hanging with the wrong people she thought was her friends. Goes to Mexico with these people, and you can tell these people envied her like I don't know what. That's coveting. That's what coveting leads to. Why do you think it's part of the 10 Commandments not to covet thy neighbor's goods, whites? Don't covet thy neighbor's wife, their goods, their donkey, anything they have. There's a reason why God tells you this. And so you start envying, you start wanting this coveting, then it starts making you feel angry. You're lusting. You're like, oh, I want this. I'm coveting. Oh, it looks nice. Then you start becoming jealous. And that jealousy and envy may start off okay, but then you start begetting resentment. Then you start getting angry. She thinks she's all that. Yeah, did you hear what she said? Yeah, talking about, yeah, I did my company, yeah, over there putting her fingers over her nails, trying to show off. She wasn't even showing off. That's just how she talks. She's from New York, and this girl's like, I'm just giving an example. Yeah, I'm a good girl. Yeah, I went finish up school. Yeah, so what's going on now? Now, I'm just running my business, and, doing this and that. You're just going like this, and they shut. And you know what she's thinking as she's seeing the girl explain herself? She'll be showing off her fucking nails. How expensive she is. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. And you're like, yeah. So, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. You look nice. You look nice, girl. You look good. I've missed you. We haven't seen you in months. Where you been? And they got their fist going like this because she really want to knock you out because she's jealous, and feeling some kind of way and want to pound your face in because you look happy. And when you walk away, she thinks she all that, trying to show off all this other stuff. And the guy comes in the room that she likes, say, hey, how you doing? And the guy's checking her out. Look at her. She don't look at her trying to look cute for him. Like she know that guy was staring at me first. Da, da, da. And that's just a way for them to find an excuse to justify the anger towards you, because it's not, you didn't do nothing wrong. You didn't ask for the guy to look at you, and now they want to fight you. And then that's something similar to Shanquilla Robinson's case, where they were jealous of her, and they went on that to Mexico, and they ended up beating her up, finding something to beat her up for, and they killed her that night. Left her in Mexico, lied to the mother, said she died from alcohol poisoning. Well, why did you leave my daughter's dead body out there? And they come to find out she didn't die from alcohol poisoning. She didn't have an ounce of alcohol poisoning in her body. No alcohol. She died from her neck was broken. Whatever they did, I think they did a suplex or something on it. They broke her neck, and they caught her on video getting her ass whipped, beating her up. They caught them trying to beat her up on the video and doing all this violence to her and everything, and then laughing and walking away. Like, no, So they're right now, they're still, I think it's been 4 years now, I think. I have to look it up again, but they're now trying to reopen this case and trying to find ways to sue these people, to get these people justice. But this is what it does. That's what the Bible says. All of it is evil before the Lord's eyes, and it all is deserving of hell. It's all evil in his eyes. It all leads to death. Every last one of the sins, they lead to death. They're not, in our eyes, we may think, ooh, this is worse and better. Not in the eyes of God. God's eyes are all wicked, and they're all the same and deserving of hell. It leads one to another. That's what it does. I'll tell one more story, and I've said the story again, but I'll mention it since I'm on this topic, where there was another woman, and I heard this from another video, where a woman, again, had these good friends from the sandbox, okay? And they were good friends. And the woman grew up, became successful, while her friends decide to stay where they are, right? And their same mindsets, saying where they are in their lives. And that's their choice. There's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is that when she leveled up, they had a problem with it. So she lost weight, I think. She thinks she lost some weight. She was looking good, and she started her own business. Here we go. And those same friends that said, I love you, girl, and all this other stuff, guess what? Started hanging out with her. And they told her about a all white party where you had to dress up all white. They tell her a time to be there. So she gets there. At the time they tell her to go there, she's dressed up in this beautiful white dress, looking good. She lost weight. She brought some cupcakes. She comes out. The first thing she notices is that the women are dressed up in jeans and shorts, right? And sneakers. And their hair was pushed back with their foreheads out and looked like that grease, like, when black girls got like oil on their face, whatever, their hair's pushed back in the bun. Okay, you know what that means, okay? And they got earrings out of their ears. Like, there's something not right there with that scenery. So she's like, what's going on? I thought they're supposed to be dressed in white. She comes out of the door of the cupcakes. She goes over and she says, you're 5 minutes late. And she slaps the cupcakes out of her hands, right? And gets all over her dress. She's like, oh my gosh, And she saw the girl that's supposed to be her friend from Sandbox age, that's supposed to be there with her all these years, who turns on her for no reason. And they're over there slapping cupcakes out of her hands and lying to her and say she was 5 minutes late when she wasn't. And she realized right then, these are not my friends. These are my enemies, and I need to run. She ran out so quick, got into her car, and drove off and never talked to those girls again. Blocked their ass out of her life. Because what they were trying to do was, they were so jealous of her and angry at this point, they had a murderous spirit. Their whole thing was, they weren't thinking straight. Their whole thing was, I want to beat her up. I'm going to kick her ass. I'm going to embarrass her, rip her dress off probably, and find justification by saying she's late. Now, when you got to sit there, you can tell they set that up. When you got to sit there and set people up because you're jealous and hating, and you wearing some sneakers on, and you want to find justification for it, for why you're angry by trying to find an excuse as stupid as that, you can tell those people ain't your friends anymore. And that's why you can't sit back and think that somebody you grew up with is your friend. Heck, family members kill each other. So what makes you think a person off the street cannot betray you? They could do the same. I mean, I told you, my friend of 13 years that I thought loved me and cared about me. that I was with through thick and thin. And when I started talking about God more with her, it's like she became different. She started getting angry and angry around me. And I felt this dark spirit around her. One day she got in my car and I said, I don't ever want to see her again. I said, I'll distance myself because I have a bad feeling around her now. And it doesn't feel good. And it was like she was becoming evil and evil. And like, when I went on my vacation with my sister and she was like, you know, purposely doing things to see if she can get under my skin by like not liking any of my videos with my nephews, right? Like, there's pictures of me and my nephew she didn't like on it. Then when my sister came on, there was a picture of her in the bathing suit. She said, "Oh, your sister looks beautiful. Oh my gosh." And she's texting me, right? So I knew what she was trying to do because I knew that how she treated other people in her life and started picking up on her passive aggressive ways. And then she would wonder why people don't want to talk to her no more and cut her off out of their lives. Now I understand why. So I'm sitting there like, okay, well, I'm like, oh yeah, she's very gorgeous. She said, thank you. And then I said, yeah, she's over here studying right now, for nursing. Oh, well, guess what? My niece is going to school too. And she's becoming this. It's like she started becoming competitive, right? And I said, yeah, she should. She's still young and, she should pursue herself, right? It's a good thing, right? So this is, she wrote about, oh, what is so great about Baltimore that you and your family keeps going out there so much, right? And I said, oh, I see where this is going. Oh, fake friend. Boy, farewell. The years are over where we used to actually have a real connection, but you're not my friend. Not anymore. And I wrote to her and I said, I ain't even shocked at this point. Because you have to remember what the Bible says, that Jesus said the world hated me before I hated you. So when people walk in the identity of Christ, you're going to see many people turn on you. And so then I wrote back to her. I said, it's not about the place. It's about my experience with my family. I enjoy my family. It doesn't matter where we go, right? Enjoy. Like more like, yep. Like more like trying to be funny. And then she writes, what about your MRI? Because I told her about my MRI that, I had a mass on my MRI and that I didn't know if it was cancer or not at the time. But I said, I'm not going to worry about it. And I told her that 3 times before. 2 times before I went to my vacation. That was the 3rd time she asked me. And I told her the 3rd time, for the 3rd time, I said, I don't worry about that, putting that in God's hands. And she was not happy. She didn't say like nothing like, oh, well, you have a good time. She was just like, yeah. Like just being nasty, rude, and just angry for no reason, all because I'm growing and I'm changing. I didn't do nothing wrong. I'm innocent. And it's like they're just trying to find something. It was almost like she was trying to find something to get me to get mad about and snap at her for so she could find an excuse to attack me and talk shit about me and say, Candace is mean, she's this and that. Because a lot of times when people have evil intentions, they look to find things to accuse you of because they don't want to look bad. They don't want to look at the bad guy. They don't want people figuring out who really is guilty and who's really innocent. So I knew that. So you know what I did? I didn't pay no mind after that. I said, I'm going to take a video, and it's still on my shorts to this day. When you go down, I looked a little skinnier, I think, in the face there because I lost a lot of weight at one point. But I was gaining it back around the time. I still had a little more of a skinnier, I think, face, in my opinion, in the video. But I'm sitting there on the video, and I'm on a little mini like boat thing. Like it's not a real boat, but like little things that you go on like on the river with you and your family, like a little boat thing. And we were in Baltimore Harbor, and it was me, my sister, and my 2 nephews. And I'm sitting there, hey guys, and I'm looking all happy. Not, I don't care about no MRI. That's why it wasn't cancer at the end of the day. It was a dermoid mass cyst that was sitting there. It moved over my pelvis, and I had to get rid of my left fallopian tube and ovary. That ain't bad, I'm thankful for that. And I sat back, enjoyed my vacation. I was not going to let her demonic energy do that to me. And I posted up on Facebook, and I posted up on here as memory. And she was so pissed. She didn't talk to me for like months until I wrote down I wasn't celebrating Halloween anymore on Facebook. And it writes to me, so you're not going to take your nephews out for a trick-or-treating anymore? And all these other Christians came on there and sided right with me. I was like, if you're such a friend, you wouldn't care about whether I'm stopped celebrating Halloween or not. Your first thing you would have said was, hey, Candace, I hope everything's doing good with you, girl. And I missed you. I'm sorry if I've been a little sour lately. I've just been in a really bad mood, but I'm sorry if I did that. Or they would have just came back and just been, hey, Candace, if you don't know how to say sorry, you say, hey, Candace, I missed you. How are you? We should get together for some coffee sometime. I miss just having that time with you. I know you have a lot going on and stuff like that. It's been 2 months. We haven't seen each other. That's what real friends do. You know, so it was like she was trying to find things to accuse me of, you know, self-project all for negativity onto me, thinking I'm going to take that in. No, I'm going to throw it right back in your face with a positive response. And she didn't like it. So because, see, now she can't find things to accuse me of. She can't sit back and say, oh, she's evil, she's this and that. That's what people do when they're guilty and they're looking for something to come at you for. Because when you're innocent, they got nothing on you. So then they got to start making up lies about you. But eventually that catches up to them as well, because people start seeing the truth and the fruits of a person. Energy don't lie. Just remember that. But it's 6:34. I'm going to get in. I said I was going to go in, but let me get inside, okay? You guys take care. Have a good night. I'll try to do a stream with EQ sometime this week with this series of AI. And let me bring my stuff in here. Let me see too. And I will probably do one Bible study this week as well. I got to find out what night it's going to be on. And we're going to also do a topic, I said, about this whole people doing witchcraft and everything. Different things that people open up to that is evil, actually, that I want to talk about. So take care. I've got to head on out. Bye-bye. Got to go in.